This episode kicks off by letting us know for the first time since First Contact that the Borg did indeed survive the events of that film, by now showing them dying terribly. 5 shots by badass lightning do 2 cubes in. Ah, the Borg cannot stand up to the power of the Son of Odin! On Voyager, one of their probes had been captured by the Borg, which shows that they have arrived at Borg space. Worrisome, since these are not exactly the most receptive people to those trespassing on their lawn. But not to worry, there's an area of space that the Borg would like to avoid here, dubbed the Northwest Passage. So named because when someone mentioned a long, out-of-the-way trip all the way around the whole damn continent, your immediate thought was, that's a shortcut! During this, Kes has been having visions about dead Borg and the destruction of Voyager, and as if in response, a butt-puckering 15 cubes suddenly come at Voyager, but they do little more than scan them before continuing on their way. Janeway's pleased at this occurrence, but then she's usually pleased when people run away from her in terror. However, the cubes are soon discovered destroyed, and they decide maybe we should investigate this. There's some kind of bioship, unlike anything they've ever seen, attached to one of the cubes, so Chakotay will lead a team over there to investigate it, and he picks Harry for that job. Shouldn't we bring someone else? Usually in cases like this, the least important person dies to prove the situation is serious. Yeah, good idea. I think I'll bring along Tuvok, too, yeah. You better hope your good looks save your life there, Harry. There are a few Borg alive over there, but they're too busy trying to deal with the damage to their ship and trying to assimilate the other one, and failing. The team has come to discover that, for reasons best kept to itself, an alien has come aboard, torn the Borg apart, and then assembled them together into a great big pile. And yes, it's already received a grant from the National Endowment of the Arts. Chakotay and Tuvok enter the bioship, leaving Harry with the job of accessing a Borg data node all by himself. And much like the audience, Kes has a premonition that Harry's going to get hurt. Janeway orders them beamed back, but they can't get a lock, despite saying that they would have a constant transporter lock on the away team. I guess I figured that it would mean that they would constantly be locked on, not the ability for the transporters to fail is a constant on this show. So, in desperation, Torres decides to invent a new transporter protocol, locking onto the minerals in their skeletons. I don't want to seem like a know-it-all, but I think we need to beam back more than just their bones. Well, if I can find their skeletons, I'm pretty sure I can bring the rest of them too. This sounds really dangerous. No, I'll be fine. They're beamed back, but not before Harry gets hit by one of the aliens, and Voyager is forced to flee as the lone ship is ready to blow them away. But Harry's wound is serious. Just a few stray alien cells left in his wound has started eating him alive. And because he's Harry Kim, he can't even be sedated while it's happening. And all he can think is, this is the 3rd worst birthday I've ever had. His only hope is that the doctor is devising a treatment for something that can resist any type of attack. Medicine, nanoprobes, even Neelix's cheese. Yet nothing is too dangerous for these cells to resist. But the doctor has discovered a way to change the nanoprobes so that the alien cells ignore them. That way they can get up close and assimilate those cells, and then both die. But he doesn't know if he can create enough of them soon enough to save Harry. I mean, it does require replication, and Neelix is extraordinarily strict about that. If Harry would have eaten more Loyola root stew, then he'd have enough to stop losing his face. He's no one to blame but himself for that. Janeway is bummed because the Northwest Passage is full of hostile aliens, so there's no way through there. But after talking to Leonardo da Vinci, and who doesn't ask the Renaissance man for advice on their personal problems, she realizes that rather than making an appeal to God, she can make an appeal to the devil. Metaphorically, one would assume, but this is Janeway, so I wouldn't rule anything out. She tells the senior officers that she'll be using the doctor's treatment as a means to fight the aliens, species 8472, and trade that to the Borg for safe passage through their space. Everybody thinks this is a bad idea, except Chakotay, who thinks it's a suicidal and morally bankrupt bad idea. This is a good episode to watch immediately after Alliances, by the way, where Janeway gives a speech about the importance of the values of the Federation being more important than trying to make allies. Season 2, Janeway says, I hope you all see I was right to not form alliances with other people. Whereas Season 3, Janeway is, I hope you all see I'm right to form an alliance with the Borg, the most hated enemy in the galaxy, and whom I will personally give bioweapons to help them in their quest to assimilate other galactic life. Because if you're going to compromise your principles, screw it, I'm going all in. So they start negotiating with the Borg, but the obvious problem comes into play. The weapon is needed now, or it's not going to make a difference, and Voyager can't give it over now without losing their only guarantee that they can get across their space without being assimilated. And just when you think a government shutdown is inevitable, bioships emerge from a nearby quantum singularity, begin using their Voltron technology, and fire some uber weapon that blows up a small moon and a couple of cubes. Though this is perfect timing for the sales pitch. Well, I can see you've made up your mind. I'll just take my ultimate anti-alien weapon and be on my way. Good luck with your apocalypse, losers. What helps to elevate Scorpion above the standard fare for Voyager is that it works to tie the human element and the threat together, much like Best of Both Worlds had, but obviously in a very different way. The Best of Both Worlds was just as much about the personal story of Riker as it was about the Borg. There's a reason that what most consider to be the greatest Trek cliffhanger was him ordering the firing of their anti-Borg weapon. And that's because it's the culmination of all the personal buildup to show Riker was ready, without hesitation, to save the Federation from a mortal threat, regardless of his personal feelings and allegiances. Likewise, the human relationship of Scorpion is one of its strengths. Janeway and Chakotay, and both their interactions, as well as their responses to the crisis. Chakotay is a Maquis. He knows what it means to face impossible odds. It means it's impossible, and so people are going to die for no reason. As long as you stay alive, you have hope that you can come up with another way to strike back. Janeway, on the other hand, is Starfleet, so she has the best traits of humanity working for her, and as long as you have that, there's always a way to sort out a problem, if you work hard enough at it. So while Chakotay is perfectly willing to turn around and try something else, Janeway only sees turning back as giving up. Her principles that stranded them out here ought to be able to get them back home, she reasons. The irony of this is that it leads Janeway to take action that contradicts her Federation ideals and her own previous assertions. Does it sound like a Federation officer who would say, I will give the equivalent of biological weapons away to get what I want. I will negotiate with a malevolent force to get what I want. I will help ensure the subjugation of an entire species to get what I want, because I'm fighting for what matters to me, and I'll do whatever it takes. It sounds a lot more like the Maquis, except I don't think the Maquis would go that far. Now, Chakotay, on the other hand, starts to adopt a Starfleet attitude. We don't help the Borg assimilate someone just to further our own ends. After all, they're stuck out here because Janeway refused to let the Kazon have the means to dominate the Ocampa. She took action in an event that had nothing to do with her in order to stop domination. But now, she's doing the same thing except to help them assimilate someone else. Instead of being on the side of angels, she really is on the side of the devil in this case. And I'm not putting words in anyone's mouth here. Janeway flat out says maybe helping to assimilate them isn't such a bad idea. As Chakotay tells her, all of this is just rationalizing away all the moral problems of her decision. Now, this is not an attack on Janeway's decision, but it just goes to show how much she's twisted herself into a knot trying to work through this problem. Okay, awards time. Tentacle Hente. Poor Harry is slowly learning the fate of many an anime character. Best way to lose a skeleton. When Harry was screaming during beam out, I was wondering if he would wind up on one pad and all of his bones in a pile on the other. Read their own press. Someone realized that the show is supposed to be about the strained relationship between the Starfleet and Maquis crew as they're stuck in impossible circumstances, and the episode proves how useful for drama that actually is. And finally, cliffhanger. You're waiting for Season 4 to find out what happened.